Morning everybody. It's Friday the 10th of January, so that makes it day 5 of the 10k challenge, and it's just after 6 in the morning, so I'm off on the run. I'm going to film bits and pieces as usual, and so I'll come back to you when I'm out of this housing estate in a little while. I'm out of the housing estate onto Mary's Mount Road and downhill run a couple hundred metres to a roundabout, and I'll make a right hand turn. Coming up on that roundabout and make the right hand turn. The road ahead there is quite steep, it's short but steep. I choose to go around the hill rather than up the hill. Making a left hand turn here and going up a hill, not quite as steep as the one I've avoided, but nevertheless a bit of a rise. I'm making another left turn and going up a short rise here, and then mostly flat. I'll make a right hand turning, come back onto Mary's Mount Road. I made it up that little rise. This is going to be the last video I'm going to make. I'm going to be running tomorrow because it's park run day, and I will run down, do the park run and run back, and that'll make another 10k, but I won't film it because I only filmed that on New Year's Day, and you'll find that on the channel if you want to have a look and you want to see what the route for that run was. Alright, I'm making a left hand turn back onto Mary's Mount Road, having gone around that hill rather than up and over it. Got a couple of hundred metres to go to a T intersection where I'm going to go left. I'm coming up to the intersection of Mary's Mount Road, the one I'm on, going north, and Middle Arm Road, where I'm going to turn left and be going west. Just around this corner we'll clock up to 3k's, which means I've got 2 more to go to the turnaround point. I'm on Middle Arm Road. On the right hand side is the Goulburn Catholic Cemetery. See, the shoulder's not very wide here, and although there's a mark on the edge of the road, there's not much road to move on to there. There are none of those rumble strips around on the Crookville Road either. Not as much traffic on this road, I assume, I hope, so hopefully I'll be okay. Someone I know had recently started doing a bit of running, and they were telling me that at the end of each run they have a headache. So I gave them some suggestions about why that might be the case, and I thought I would share those with you. Now, before I do that, I should say I'm not a physiotherapist. I don't know anything about biomechanics. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. Just a bloke who runs and who's tried some of these things. Maybe you don't have a problem with a headache and you run. If you do, maybe you want to try them. So I'll get up this hill and I'll come and tell you the first of them. So the first of those things that I suggested to her was to think about the position of your head. Now, it sounds a bit silly, your head's on the top of your body, but you want to be looking ahead into the middle or long distance rather than looking down at your feet or what's directly in front of you. Of course, you want to be aware of that, you don't trip over something, but you want to be looking ahead. And the reason for that is 2 things. Number one, it keeps your airway open, so your breathing's better. If your chin is down towards your chest or tucked on your chest, then your airway is closed and you're going to struggle to breathe or breathe as efficiently as you want to. The second reason is, of course, put your head down on your chest, you're putting strain on those muscles in the back of your neck, and that may be the reason you're getting a headache. I'm not saying it is, but it may be. Think of when you're sitting in your car, you want to look over the steering wheel ahead rather than down the instrument panel all the time. All right, I'll go a bit further and come to point number 2. I just passed the 4 kilometre mark, and this is point number 2. When I first started running, I came across a video on the running channel on YouTube, and the bloke there was talking about the position of your shoulders, and he'd said, either he'd worked it out himself or his coach had told him or something or other, get your shoulders down from below your ears. And that sounds a bit silly, but if you tense yourself and hunch your shoulders up around your earlobes, then of course you're putting tension on the muscles in your shoulders, behind your shoulders and the shoulder blade, in your neck, and of course that's going to lead to tension. The tension could be the cause of a headache. So my suggestion there is let your shoulders drop and feel loose. The more relaxed your body is, the less tension there is, the less likely there is to be headaches or pain. All right, I'll come back to you with point number 3 shortly. As you can see, a bit gloomy and overcast again. There's even a very light hint of a shower. Hopefully some of this will drift away and day will come out a bit better. Certainly weird weather for January, last few days. Okay, so point number 3 is to think about your arms and think about your primary school geometry, and that is when you heard about acute angles or really sharp angles, right angles and obtuse angles. Obtuse meaning blunt or dull, and in this case bigger than 90 degrees. It is my thinking that your arms, the angle between your upper arm and your forearm should be 90 degrees or more. Not so low that your arms are straight and it's 180 degrees, because then you're not going to get the benefit of pumping your arms. But I think it should be 90 degrees or more. Now if your running coach tells you different, then you do what you're comfortable with. But my reason for suggesting that is that if your forearm, that's the lower part of your arm, is at an acute angle, a very sharp angle to the upper arm, then you end up putting tension on your bicep, which is the muscle on the front of your upper arm, and your tricep, which is the muscle at the back of your upper arm. And of course, remember that every muscle is connected to some other muscle. So those muscles are connected to the shoulder. Like I said, I'm not a doctor and I don't know anything about anatomy, but you just work those things out. And that eventually connects to muscles in your neck and creates the tension. So let your arms fall a little bit loose, but not so loose that they're flopping right down by your sides. And also think about just moving them back and forth in front of you, not across the midline of your body and up and down towards your mouth like you're eating your breakfast, because that's using more energy than you need and not necessarily giving you any benefit. We've reached the 5k point a little bit back. I'm just turning around. I'm going to stop so you can see this 5k 5.10 in 31.41 seconds. Very slow pace. We'll get going on the return leg now. Okay, so next point is what you do with your hands. And you think, well, what a difference does that make? Let me explain again about tension. If you run with your hands open, I think that's the best position. Not spread wide open like jazz hands, with your fingers all splayed and your thumbs splayed and everything, and you're actually forcing them to stay open, but just relaxed and open. I think that's the best position. Now, I say that because the hands, or mine at least, seem to have a tendency to want to close up and form a fist. And I find that when that happens, when they start to form the fist, that the fist gets tighter and tighter, and that leads to tension in those muscles in your upper arm that I just mentioned. So you can relax your hands and get them open. That will, again, reduce the tension and possibly reduce the headache. Now, in summertime, you want your hands open anyway because you want to increase the surface area so that any cooling effect of the air is at its maximum. In the wintertime, you might think, well, I want to keep my hands closed because keep my fingertips warm and keep my hands warm, and that does make sense in terms of reducing the surface area, and it's, I suppose, even more sensible if you decide you don't want to wear gloves. But relaxing your hands, I think, is a good thing if you can do it. Back on the hands for a moment, I should have mentioned this earlier. There's a YouTuber called This Messy Happy. There's a bloke named Ben Rogers and his wife Mary. They're from England, but they live in Thailand, and they do nothing but run marathons and make videos about all aspects of running. In one of the videos where Mary was giving commentary, she talked about what she does with her hands sometimes to relax her body and to reduce tension. So she takes her first finger, is that called your forefinger or your pointer finger, and your thumb, and she puts the pads of those two digits together. Leaves the other fingers relaxed and out, and she puts the finger and thumb together. You might be able to see it in how my hands are at the moment. And she imagines that she's holding what the English call a crisp, what we call a potato chip, between her finger and her thumb. And she's holding it just enough so that she won't let it go. And if she starts to feel that she's pressing the pads together too strongly and the chip might break and fall, she relaxes her grip a bit. And that helps her to relax her body and also focus her mind a little bit. So maybe it's worth trying. I'm going to get to the top of this rise here. Hopefully you can see ahead, and then I'll come back and share with you the last suggestion I made to this person. It might be helpful to you, maybe not. Well, I'm at the top of that rise, going east back towards Goulburn, and Mary's Mount Road will be on the right in a couple of 100 metres, so I'll turn there and go back the way I came. You wanted to know about the last tip that I gave that person, and that is to think about your shoes. Now, before anybody jumps up and down and says, oh, he's changed his mind about the super shoes, has he? No, I haven't. And my problem with the super shoes isn't the shoe, it's the fact that the commentators and the chatterers who talk about running don't give enough credit to the person doing the running, and all the credit goes to the shoe for making the difference rather than the athlete who has to do the running. But so if you're a runner, you know that your sole or the front of your foot can hit the road first, your midfoot or just under your arch, or you might be like me and be a heel striker. Now this person had just taken up running, wasn't quite sure about that, but they thought they might be striking with their heel, and so my thinking there is that all of your weight is coming down on your heel, it's going directly up your legs and spine, and may, I'm not saying it is, but it may be contributing to the headache. Of course, thinking about it more, it might be just you're wearing a hat that's too tight or something, but no, seriously, it may be contributing to that headache. So my suggestion to her was, if you are a heel striker, maybe look for a shoe with a little bit more padding in the heel. And it doesn't mean spend a fortune on the Cuban heeled disco cork-heeled wedges you used to see women wearing in the 80s or the 90s or whatever it was, the super shoes that everybody talks about. But it may be that you just need a bit more padding in the heel if your heel is the part of your foot that's striking the road first, just to absorb some of that impact. Now you could, I guess, buy new shoes with more padding, or there are sort of foam inserts that you can get. I'm not recommending either, because I've never tried either. I just buy shoes and run in them. I haven't tried foam or gel inserts of any sorts. I don't know if they're any good, but it might be something to think about. Alright, well, so those are my 5 tips for running, and we're almost back. You can just see where that white car's pulling out is the turn off. Go back the way I came, about 3 k's to go. I'll give you a little clips of that as I go. So I made the turn into Mary's Mount Road, and you can see the rise that I've got. On my left hand side here is the back of Mulwaree High, which is the second of Goulburn's high schools, public high schools, and directly in front of me this building is the Challenge Foundation buildings. They're an organisation that provides respite care of some sort for people with disabilities. Don't really know much more about it than that. They got some funding from the federal government a couple of years ago to build this facility. Coming up on the roundabout where I'm going to make a left turn, you can see the road going straight ahead and it's quite steep, and I'm going to go around the hill again, same way as I came, make sure I get the full 10 in. I've got a bit of a rise coming up here, and then it dips down to a roundabout, and I'll make a right hand turn, and just come around this bend. You can see the rise a bit more, not steep, nevertheless it's uphill. Going down a slight dip here, and you can see the sign for the roundabout. At the roundabout, I'll make a right turn and go along another couple hundred metres before making another right turn. I made that right turn, and there's a bit of a dip coming up here, and then another right turn just past this roundabout. I might have mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it again if I did. There'll be at the map at the end so you can see where all these turns and things are. This is Kavanagh Street, and I'm going to make a right turn onto in a moment, and a couple of hundred metres and back onto Mary's Mount Road. So I made that turn. You can see there's a little bit of a rise here. Coming off Kavanagh Street here, directly ahead is that a stage called Tenerife, or Tenerife, on Mary's Mount Road. You can see the path ahead of where I'm going to go, so it's a slight rise and then a left turn at the top of this rise where the roundabout is. I'll come back to you when I get there. I'm at the top of that rise, you can see the roundabout. I'm going to go left. This is called Voyager Avenue. And then almost at the bottom, make a right hand turn onto Quiberon, I think is how you say it, and then to the dog park. I made that turn into Quiberon Way, as it's called, and so a couple of 100 metres to the car park where the dog park is here, and it'll be done. So I'll come back to you when we get there. I just clocked up the 10 kilometres and see where the red car and the green organic waste bin is, just around the corner there, and then to the car park where I left the white beast. Fortunately no problems with the camera today, so you've got the full out and back edited highlights. Hopefully one of those 5 tips I gave you is helpful. Perhaps I'll see you out on the road somewhere running. Thanks for watching. If you have a comment, you know where to leave it. If you want to subscribe, like and all that stuff, of course you're welcome to. If you want to share the channel or this video with someone else, go right ahead. Oh, I hope you can see that. 10.21 kilometres in 1 hour and 5.11 at a pace of 6:23. None of that's going to get me into Senior Runners magazine or anything like that, but that's not the point. Not the purpose. The purpose is just to run, and this week it was to see if I could do the 10k challenge, which is, you know, run 10k's every day, and it appears that I can. So ideally I'd like to bring that in under an hour, but I think I will probably need to push myself a little bit more than I am, and also perhaps not have the camera trying to commentate while I'm run. So, and maybe the third thing is find somewhere that's flat, so I don't have so many hills to negotiate. All right, well, as I said earlier, thanks for watching. I hope you found some of it interesting, the commentary. If not, at least you found the scenery interesting. Enjoy your day, and I'll catch up with you when I'm making the next running video. Not sure when that's going to be, but whenever it is.